That's right, guys. You read that thumbnail correctly. And this video is in no way clickbait. Metallica did tune that snare and send it back to me, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about, so stay tuned.
Searching for donuts.
Searching for donuts.
Searching for donuts.
Guys, what is up? Chris R, Z28, back again, and man, do I have a hell of a video for you. A video that almost didn't happen if it wasn't for some quick thinking and you guys who saw the story in my Instagram and requested this video. So I thank you. I thank you a lot for that. This video almost didn't happen. Planets aligned. It's happening. We are here. Metallica sent that back from HQ, tuned. Who do you think tuned it? I don't think Lars touches his drums anymore, so I think Jimmy tuned that. Probably to Lars's liking. So anyway, let me explain. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I had been involved in the Tama 40th anniversary video where Lars had drug out all the old drum sets and they talked about the new M72 torque kit, you know, the yellow one. If you're unfamiliar with that video, I'll put a link in the description and let me put the thumbnail up here. Right, so that's the video that I had sent this snare for. Sent this snare in for. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of the story because a couple videos down on YouTube here, I did like a half an hour story. I talked and I went on and on and on. I tell the whole story, so I'm not going to get into the whole story again. Again, I'll put a link in the description to that video, and I'll put a picture of the thumbnail up here in the corner, so make it a little easier so you could find it. And that explains the whole story. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown today. So here's that thumbnail. Yeah, so basically check out those videos if you want to get up to speed and you want to hear the full story, because today for time purposes, I am just going to give you a brief summary of what happened and how it happened. So approximately a year ago, Metallica contacted me through a third party about this snare. They had seen it. We spoke via phone and text, and they asked if I would be willing to ship it out because they couldn't find it on the open market. They couldn't find theirs. I don't know why. So I agreed. They had told me they would do something nice for my contact and myself, and they would make it worth our while. Now remember that point because it's important. So before I sent it out, I wanted to make it presentable. I took it apart, detuned it, took the heads off, cleaned everything, got the wood shavings out, and I distinctively remember putting it back together loose. I didn't tune it. I figured it was going for a photo shoot, a video shoot. They'll handle that. The deal was they were going to ship it out overnight. They didn't discuss how they were going to ship it back, but you would just assume if they're shipping it out overnight that they would do the same thing on the way back. Well, they didn't. They shipped it back 10-day ground, which I thought was disrespectful because when you ship something across the country via truck, there's more opportunity to get destroyed. Now, they did have some demands when I shipped it. They wanted it in a hard case, and so did I. I think that was important, but that hard case, because it was a Saturday night, I had to rush and get it, and it was $150 out of pocket. They had some demands on the shipping time. I had to get it out 11 a.m. Eastern time to meet their scheduling with Tama. So that was a little bit of an inconvenience for me. I had to call out sick from work again, you know, an inconvenience, but you do what you got to do to help the band. They were going to make it worth my while. Their words, not mine. Check out this video. I'll put the thumbnail up in the corner. Check out that video. I've included some screenshots of the text they gave me. This was all their words, not mine, and that was kind of like why I went ahead with the deal. So it comes back, 10-day ground, gets here. The reason I think that's disrespectful is because UPS and FedEx destroy everything, and that's what I was worried about. So anyway, snare gets here not destroyed. The box isn't destroyed. Thank God. I got lucky on that one. Of course, nothing was in the box. There was no sticks, no thank you, no letter, no old head, no tickets to a show, which they did also mention. And I was kind of pissed off about that. Now, this is all important because this is why the snare is on the stand, was on the stand for a year untouched. So it gets back, and I just kind of, I was upset, bothered, pissed off, whatever you want to call it, hurt. And I just wanted to take a break from it. I didn't want to look at it for a while, but it is still my snare because I have so much equipment here. I don't want to lose track of where everything is, so I usually check, clean, and tune everything before I put it back. So to my surprise, the snare was fully tuned. I put a drum dial on it, and it was fully tuned. Damn near close to what I keep it, and I was like, holy crap. I sent this thing out untuned. They did a video and a picture shoot. Why is this thing tuned? I couldn't understand why it was tuned, but what I have to imagine is Jimmy probably tuned it just in case Lars wanted to play it or hit it or whatever. You just want to make, they just wanted to make sure everything was 100%. So it comes back tuned, and like I said, surprise. So I put it back on the stand, took a little bit of a break from it, eventually got over it. I mean, I'm still upset to this day the way it ended. It ended pretty bad, but I love Metallica. I can guarantee you Lars and the rest of the band had no idea any of this was going down. I guarantee you. So I still love the band. It is what it is. A little like I said, it was a little hurtful because Metallica talks about this Metallica family, and they're even putting out this new movie right now, The Fan and the Fan Story. Well, the four guys may care, but I don't think management gives a shit. And management needed something. The snare, they needed it for a sales video. Let's be honest, it was an awesome sales video, but they were pushing 72 kits at $8,000 a piece. They got what they needed, and they forgot about me since. I contacted them right after the video came out, and I said I'm going to be in Nashville the same time as you guys, and that was actually 2 weeks ago. Can I swing by the stadium, and can I have Lars sign this? It would mean the world to me as a super fan. And they were like, nope, they're busy. Their time is taken up. They have meet and greets, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, great. So you got what you wanted. You don't need me anymore. So anyway, that's important because that's why it was on the stand in the first place. I didn't want to be bothered with it, but as fate would have it, we came over here. We did a bunch of covers over here. Then we moved over here. We did a bunch more covers over here, and then just 2 weeks ago, and I think it's in one of the videos I did, it's not that important, so I'm not going to put up a thumbnail. I had mentioned we were taking the EAD10 system, and we were moving it over here, and that's exactly what I did. As you could see, it's on there. So I went to record, and I hit the snare a few times. That's important to note. I don't know if it affects it much, but I hit it a few times before I remembered the situation, and I said, holy shit, what are you doing? Stop hitting it. Let's think this through. So I immediately put that information up on my Instagram, and that's where you guys got a hold of me and said, we want drum dial readings and we want raw sound. So that's what we're going to do. Wow, we got lucky because I almost tuned it. I like it a little tighter, believe it or not. So I almost tuned it, but I didn't. We're here because of that reason. Now, keep in mind, I do want to mention something. So when it came back last year and I realized that it was tuned, I did hit it a few times. I'm going to be totally honest with everybody. I always have been. I took a few hits and maybe a roll. Then it sat here over the winter. Now, it's important to note that the basement, although conditioned, there's a 15-degree temperature swing usually. About 50 in the winter, 65 in the summer with the air conditioning. It's usually, the dehumidifier is usually always running, so it's dry down here. Right now, it's a warm, dry day. I've got it off. But there is a little bit of a temperature swing, so that may affect tension a little bit. It's not the end of the world. I don't think much, but I want to be totally honest about everything. And Friday, before I realized, I did another couple hits and maybe a roll or two. Nothing crazy. It was no huge amount of time. So that may affect the tuning a little bit, but regardless, I don't think anybody on the planet is going to get closer to this than we are tonight. We're going to put this on the bench and we're going to get some drum dial readings. I'm going to give you some raw sound through my phone, and then I'm going to give you some raw sound through the EAD10, because unfortunately that's all I have at the moment. I don't have the microphone kits. I don't have the microphones yet for this kit, but I am working on that as we speak. So that's what we're going to do. The planets aligned. I never touched it. We're getting this information out to the public. We're going to find out where Jimmy puts Lars's batter and reso head currently. I'm sure this was probably the same way all through the 80s and 90s, because when you find a comfortable snare spot, you really don't change it. I mean, let's not bring up St. Anger, but that's what I think. So again, I think Jimmy tuned this. I guarantee you Lars is not tuning his drums. And if Jimmy didn't tune it, the gear manager did or a helper. So, but anyway, I don't think anybody's going to get close. I don't think anything like this is going to get out in the public again. This was aligning of the planets, the right place, the right time, lightning in a bottle. And I'm about to show you exactly where Lars's snares are currently sitting. Okay, we are over here on the workbench, and we are going to start taking some drum dial readings. I mean, think about what we're about to do. The last people to tune this, most likely Jimmy tuned this. I don't think Lars touches anything anymore. It was either Jimmy or somebody there at HQ, but regardless, somebody at HQ, Metallica HQ, tuned this snare. And we're going to find out exactly where they put it. And it's most likely exactly where Lars likes it, because why else would you put it there? So we're going to take some drum dial readings. We've got a backlight here so we can see it better. How's that? Oh, that's good. Okay, let's spin this around. Start from the Remo logo. Go clockwise. And spin it this way a little bit so you can see. First lug. 91. 90 and a half. I hope you guys are writing this down for your own use. Now you can all tune your snares to where Lars keeps his, at least modern day anyway. 89 and a half. That is within the margin of error here. 90. 91. 89 and a half. 89. 89 and a half. 89 and a half. And this is our last lug. 91. So there you go. Everything is kind of within the margin of error here. If I were to guess this, I would say I would tune this to 90. I think that's a good point. That's crazy. We just uncovered where Lars keeps his, or at least where Jimmy keeps Lars's batter heads currently. So about 90. If you're going to try and replicate this at home, I would do it on a drum dial to 90. Like I said, it's sat here for about a year, and the basement, I mean, it's conditioned, but it gets down to like 50, and I think it gets as high as 65. So you do have a little fluctuation, and I did hit it a couple times. It probably doesn't matter, but I would say 90. So let's do the bottom. Let's see where the reso head, sorry I'm working one-handed here. See where it keeps the reso head. Put that backlight back on. I'm going to start at that logo again. Let it say, yep, 83 and a half. So what I'm seeing right now is the reso head, you know, like most people do, is a little looser than the batter head. 83. 83. Snare bed here, 83 and a half. Let me spin this. Ooh. 82 and a half, other side of the snare bed. 81 and a half. 82 and a half. 82 and a half. 82 and a half, and this is going to be our last, we're back to where we started, our last lug. If you're keeping track at home, 83 and a half. Everything is marginally the same here within the margin of error. I would have to say 83 on the reso head here, so there you go. Wow, it is crazy what we just did. Where Jimmy is keeping Lars's snare. Where Lars likes it, I would say 90 on the batter, 83 on the reso. That is pretty damn cool. Wow, the planets aligned. We were able to uncover this. So let's put it over on the stand and let's get some snare samples. Some raw sound. All right, guys, snares back on the stand. And we're going to go with the raw sound through my cell phone first. So let me prep this. I'm taking this EAD sensor off for both. We're just going to do raw sound here. So I'm going to give you without and then with the moon gel. I mean, he does use a moon gel now. Back then it wasn't a moon gel. It was kind of like, you know, some gaff tape or something to kind of muffle it out. So let me go ahead. This is raw sound, cell phone, Lars Ulrich tuned snare directly from HQ. Here we go. No moon gel. Wow, did you ever think you would hear that? The sound probably sucks through the phone, but we're going to get it on the EAD10. So let me put the moon gel, and we'll do it again. Remember, around 90 on the batter, 83 on the reso, give or take within the margin of error. So here we go. Raw sound through the phone with moon gel. Pretty cool. Take this back off. Now we're going to go through the EAD10, but first let me explain some things to you, because once I get you on that EAD10, you're not going to be able to hear me talk. You're probably sick of hearing me talk anyway, but we got to explain some things. So with the EAD10, the way this thing works is it goes through the microphones and the trigger too, but like I said, I'm not using that at all. So you're going to just get raw sound through the mics, and no matter what scene you're on, these are your effects. So basically we have all triggers, all our trigger volumes, our compression, and our reverb. So right now they're all off, and you know, that's no effects at all. Once you do this, and do this, your max reverb, max compression, max trigger. So we're taking everything out of the scenario, and you're just going to get raw sound. I'll even go back to scene number 1, which it doesn't matter, arena, and I'll turn all the effects off. So what I have to do is I have to stop the video, I have to hook it up to the EAD10, and you're not going to hear me talk. We're going to go right ahead. We're going to go with the first segment we're going to do is EAD10, no moon gel. I'll put the moon gel back on, we'll take some samples, and then I will take it off the EAD10 and we'll wrap this video up. So give me a second. All right, so there we go. That is the 2 sound samples, raw sound samples through the EAD10 system. Sounds a lot better than the cell phone, I will say. As much as I knock it, it is really a good piece of equipment to have. A little quirky, but it's a pretty good piece of equipment to have. So anyway, there you go. Man, what an episode. Did you ever think you would see something like this get out there? I know I sure as hell didn't. We now know the specs where Lars keeps his snare, or at least where Jimmy is keeping Lars's snare, where Lars likes his snares, I should say. Ooh, hell of an episode. What did we just uncover? Lightning in a bottle. But that's what I think it is. It just makes sense to me. The snare left flat, it came back tuned. Nobody asked him to tune it, on my end, I should say. But it came back tuned, and it was probably exactly where Lars likes it. I don't think Lars tuned this. I think Jimmy did. That makes no sense. So anyway, I think this episode is done. There's nothing more we could say. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions about the situation, you know, comment. You know how to get a hold of me on my Instagram. Message me. You know how to do that. Other than that, I am at a crossroads. I am now recording on this kit, and I need to record on the snare, and I would like to change the head. Of course, I won't throw the head away. But remember the snare, I mean, it is of significance because it was used in that video, so it is part of history. You know, right here on the wall, I have a picture of him sitting behind my snare. So it's of relevance, but it was never signed or they never did anything with it. So I'm probably going to still play it. I've got to change the head. You tell me what you think. What should I do? What would you do? If I could ever get him to sign it, I would stick it in an acrylic case on the shelf, and that's where it would live the rest of its life. But that didn't happen. So let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments rather quick because I'm going to start recording and I got to do something. I mean, we could always take a snare from over there and over there, but it wouldn't match. And we're going to do some Black Album tunes, some covers on this kit, and I got some other cool things. I'm going to do a collaboration, but you know, tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. Like I said, it's of some significant relevance, but I still got to use it anyway. So that was a cool episode. I thank you for coming along for the ride. Again, I am very long-winded, but the information has to get out there. So thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in, supporting the channel, keeping me going, keeping me motivated. I always appreciate it, and I hope all of you are well. And until the next episode, guys, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.